442.
Hello there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham. We don't make it easy, do we? A great result against Leicester. And then Chelsea, we know what happens. We know what happens at Stamford Bridge, and it's happened again. And then we're back to square one. A lot to talk about today. Adam literally got in just at the last second.
Literally as we're starting. You're doing fine, thanks, yeah, exactly. Yeah, top tour style, man. Anyway. No, I've been sick past week, but I'm 99% recovered now. Still a bit coffee, but other than that, I'm fine. Glad to be back here as well.
Excellent, and great to see all the guests on here, and I'll go through them quickly. Brad, been on plenty of times. How you doing, Brad?
How you doing? Good, thanks. Hi, Chris. All right. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, I'll come to Brian in a second because we'll be talking about Bob. Adam, how you doing?
Fine. Overall, fine. Yeah. I mean, kind of dejected after yesterday, but, other than that, I'm okay.
I think we all are. I'll let you do the plug for Tottenham on tour, even yourself and Brian, Danny Kiriakou as well, and other Brian.
Danny Kiriakou. You've got to say it right, Chris. The first time his name gets mentioned. Only the first time.
Sing it.
I'm a novice, Brian. I'm learning. Alan, where can people find you?
Find me at the great channel that is Tottenham on tour. Yeah. I mean, we're rising up quickly through the ranks. But of course, we never forget our roots, of course, which is why we appear on great channels like this. So, but if any of you haven't subscribed to us already, we're on a huge push to 3K. So, please, if you just get over and hit that subscribe button, we don't like red anyway as Tottenham fans. So, if you could turn that subscribe button into the right color, then that would be great. Even though I'm wearing red, actually.
That was sensational.
Yeah, but I just remembered I'm wearing red, so that contradicts myself.
I'm afraid, Brian, when you're both on and the plug for the show, the channel, you're fired. Adam's in. I'm afraid.
You know what? After a plug like that, fire me.
Thank you.
Fire me.
Ian as well, been on a few times. How you doing, Ian?
How we doing, Chris?
Holiday?
Yeah, holiday was great. All ruined, of course, when the match started yesterday, but. We live to fight another day, I guess. We live to fight another day. But, I'm good. Life's good, mate. Life's good.
Yeah, and in the chat, THFC, Kirst, how you doing, Kirst? Spurs Legends. She must be watching another show. Talk about Brian, Brad, Adam, and Ian. That's who she's talking about. And Adam's teeth are beaming white. Wow. Give them to me, please. And last but no means least, Brian. How you doing, Brian? And how is Bob? Big love to Bob Spur. He's been appearing on streams recently, which is brilliant news. But yeah, how is Bob?
Yeah, I mean, it's glad that Kirst is in the chat as well, because we've been trying to talk today to give her the news. So yeah, I mean, everything that's going on right now with our beloved club and our Marmite leader. All goes into insignificance right now, because everyone knows why I came here. Whatever goes on, whatever happens with January, Bob wins every single time. And yesterday, Kim got the invite to go to see him, first person to see him, and then obviously she did. And then Bob requested that I come in and see him as soon as possible, and the doctor said I can come in today. So I was going to see him at 11, but it actually ended up being moved to a later time. Got to the hospital. I had to put so much PPE stuff on. I don't like I was something out of Ghostbusters. It's reduced. But first of all, I will say everyone at Harlow Hospital, if anyone at Harlow Hospital does watch this, especially one nurse in particular, I can't remember her name, but she'll know because she'll remember me and Kim, has been absolutely sensational. So that's the most important thing. Then I got to see Bob. He's got more hair, or he did have more hair on his head. The cheeky bastard asked me to give him a haircut, so I gave him my first haircut. And I was literally like this because I've never, even my wife shaves my head. So I was so worried about cutting him all because he can't. Bless him, he can't speak at the moment because of the tracheotomy. He writes things on his phone, and then obviously I can respond back. He's lost a lot of weight, or he's lost a fair bit of weight, shall I say? And obviously after not seeing him for. Like, the last time I saw him properly, and I mean properly, was when he dropped me off at the airport November the 5th. I spoke to him every day when I got back home, but the last time I remember speaking to him is when COVID was bad and he was here. And so that was the last image I had of him. first thing he does is ask how everyone is. Everyone, and I do mean everyone on this chat. We went through. I said, listen. He goes, how's the crew? And I said, right, listen. Rather than me going through one by one, just type a name in so I can just tell you where they are. So he went through. He didn't leave a stone unturned with people, and he was constantly like, and he asked, and I can tell you now, he asked specifically about everyone in this chat that's on here. He asked about Curse, who I know is in the chat. Told him. Also, I showed him the letter I got from Antonio Conte. So he opened up and read it. It was a personalised letter from Conte. Put a smile on his face. Then cut his hair. And then the big seeing Bob with hair is one of the weirdest things you ever see. You won't get to see it. It's strange. It's like, wait, is that Bob? I walked in there, they leading me to him, and I was like, is that Bob? And I was like, oh, it is. But the biggest smile I got out of him is obviously when he asked if Kim and Tammy had been getting on. He said, Kim and Tammy are getting on, aren't they? I went, unbelievably well. He was like, and he gave me a Bob Spur eye roll, like, how the fuck has that happened? Oh, you haven't gone past 10 minutes. Oh, well. But it was just a Bob expression, and he's in the chat. He's very tired, so like he's popping in and out of chats. But when he's in the chats, I don't know how long he stayed in there because he is very tired. It's a long way to go for him. But he is fighting. He is really, really fighting. This man. I said to him, you know what I call you now? I call you Superman. He's Superman to me because what he's had to go through, the loss of his mother, his brother, and then obviously recently his father, COVID pneumonia, open heart surgery beforehand. Sorry, Kim's TV's just cleared the lift off or something. So what the hell that was? Don't apologise. Just
Brian, you should have told him when he woke up that we'd won 18 matches in a row and we were the champions.
Yeah, I
don't think you would have believed that.
Well, do you know what? I think it was Kim. Was it Kim and I were saying we're talking about before the Arsenal game was called off? Hopefully, we can put a radio in there so we can listen to Arsenal to cheer him up. And I was like, no. What if we lose? It'll probably kick him backwards. And we're like, no. But then obviously, we know what the filth did. But just like I said, I mean, to just round this off, like I said, and I'll be serious. I'm sorry, I do apologise. Apparently, I'm having a rave as well. So it's going to be the first Tottenham rave that we're having here. It's phenomenal. But like I said, going back to it, at one point, and Kim said it with me as well. At one point, and in all honesty, we didn't know if we see Bobby again ever.
No.
And the fact that I saw him today,
that wasn't the approach, common knowledge.
As Kim just said, people won't know how close this guy really was. Obviously, what we let go, we let go. And there's stuff. This is Bobby's health and his medical records and whatever. But to see him today, smiling, having a laugh and whatever, he's on the right track. But we are still so far to go. But one thing I will say is he cannot get over the amount of love, support, well wishes, tweets, WhatsApp, phone calls, everything. And he loves everyone dearly, and he can't wait to get everyone back, to be back with everyone. And
we can't wait to have him back, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Kirsten said a couple of comments in it. She's also said she'll give you a video call tomorrow, Brian. But it's put a huge smile on my face, and so happy for you and Kim. We're all missing Bob so much. You two have been superstars with him and updating us past few weeks. Bless him with his hair. Obviously, apart from the last sentence there, which none of us have seen apart from you and Kim, I think we agree with the rest of it absolutely 100%. And it's great to see him on these Spurs chats coming up with the comments on there. It'd be great to see him in person talking about Spurs and moaning about Spurs and telling people.
Just to clarify, is Kirst going to video call you from the bath? I mean,
No. I tried to video call her about 20 minutes ago and she didn't answer. I said to Kim, the cheeky cow. And then I got a message back going, I'm in the bath, I can't answer. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, in fairness, Bob's illness really does put football in its rightful place. You know, that's we're all a bit uptight at the moment for a lot of reasons. Yesterday and what's not happening on the transfer window, etc., etc. That's got a few of us wound up, including me. But you know, when Shankly said football was more important than life and death, no, mate, no, you were wrong about that.
Exactly.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's go on to something that doesn't really matter, and that's the game yesterday in Tottenham.
That's the niceties over. Let war come in.
We'll start with this, Brad. Starting lineup thoughts. I think it's fairly safe to say, and it was fairly evident on the first half anyway, it was a bit of a defensive team, and based on presumably what happened in the first two games against Chelsea.
First of all,
Bergwijn had to start, I think, because of what he did against Leicester. A bit unfair on Lucas, but Doherty on the right. People have been calling for Emerson to be dropped, so Doherty got his chance. But what was your thought of the starting lineup first of all? And we'll get into the game afterwards.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's actually great news on Bob. Thanks, Brian. And I was watching the Irish Hotspur do his live show yesterday when Brian was on it. And when that message came up, in the chat, that super chat, and it had Bob Spur TV, and people didn't register at first.
No, it was a double look, wasn't it?
Yeah, I could see Brian going pointing down like that. So that was absolutely brilliant moment. So that's really, really good news. But obviously it's going to take time, but he'll be back one day for sure. I was confused when I saw the lineup. I didn't actually see it until probably about 4:15. Or no, 4:15.
I was trying to set it up. So.
Yeah, about 45 minutes before. It was sort of a bit late yesterday. And I was just totally surprised. Not so much. Okay, Bergwijn in for Mora. I thought that was okay. I think the strange thing about it was 4-4-2. That was a weird thing. I mean, I realised that Reguilón could possibly have been carrying an injury after the Leicester game. So Sessegnon and Doherty, I thought, that's okay. But then that would have worked with a back three, but it was a 4-4-2. It was just really, really strange lineup. I just couldn't get my head around it.
No. A couple of comments from Kirst again. Kane was robbed. I guarantee you, Kirst, we will be talking about this. I guarantee you.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
But no, I just thought it was weird. I mean, I guess we can criticise Conte in his lineup selection. We are allowed to. But I guess at the moment he has got a lot of credit with us, so you just sort of look at that and think, well, he must be doing it for a reason, and sort of trust him. But no, I was very, very, very confused, and it ultimately didn't work out. Although I thought it was a better. We'll talk about the match a bit later, but it was a better performance. But I was very, very confused.
Yeah, I mean, Kirst comment here, Brian. Conte did that lineup and formation to make a statement to the board.
Yeah,
he could have done.
Possibly. What would you make of that, Brian?
Well, I think he did. So to be honest, I think he did more of that against Chelsea in the second leg of the Carabao. In all honesty, that one I think was more of a push to say, listen, look what I've got. I don't think he did it in this game. I don't think he did it as a message to the board. I think we've got to take that part away from it and say this is what he had available. What I will say as the only negative part I'm saying to the board when we're talking about this part is again we lacked creativity. And this is the game where he took the three creative players in Ndombele, we know who's going. Dele Alli, we hope is going, and has apparently said his goodbyes. And Lo Celso, who is apparently fit. And it's like, we can't create. And because of the state of transfer dealings, the creative player we need, we haven't got. And the creative players we have, we're not playing because we think two of them are out the door. So that was the only, on that part, it's very concerning when, as Sky Sports said, we played with four fullbacks. Sessegnon and Davis, Tanganga, if you want to call him a wing back right now, and Doherty. It was the thing that got me with this formation is you've seen teams go to Chelsea and they attack Chelsea, a Brighton, a Burnley, and whoever's gone there.
And they go the results, and you can the third last result as well. We've lost 3-0, 2-0, 1-0, now 2-0.
Oh, exactly. Listen, this is the thing. What I'm coming to there, Chris, is obviously every team has shown that if you go for Chelsea, they're gettable. If you stop thinking, how can we stop them, and thinking, how can we hurt them, teams may not win, but they certainly have more joy than we have over the four games we've played. There's no doubt about it. Now, you'd think with Conte that you'd say, do you know what? Right now, the 30 years at Hoodoo is like beyond a joke. And it's one of those where when this fixture comes up, you're like, oh, here we go. And as soon as the goal goes down, the mentality of it kicks in. And do we have the right mentality? That's a different question. But you think right now, when I said a stat that I saw a tweet where someone said either from Christmas Day or Boxing Day, Christmas Day, Boxing Day or New Year's Day, from then till now, Norwich have won the same amount of games as Chelsea. That's how gettable or approachable Chelsea were. And everyone, including me, was like, now's the time to play Chelsea. Now's the time. They're not firing. They're not. And we just sat back again. We just sat back. When you've had 3 games sitting back and we haven't scored a goal and their quality has shone through, you think, you know what? If this game is going to be another defeat, at least go down fighting. At least try something different. We didn't, and the same thing happened.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, I've got to say as well, an experienced streamer here would know to say, please hit the likes, please hit the subscribe before 16 minutes has gone. But, it is me, novice, complete novice. I can't say Danny Kiriaku's name properly because I can't do the jingle. And I can't do the like and subscribe shout out either before.
You're fine.
But yeah, anyway, Adam. Personally, I think that the tactics were negative, and Jose's used that too, kind of wing backs in front of the centre backs. I personally think in the 45 minutes it did work. I know it's a 90-minute game, obviously, and then you can now say the tactics didn't work because we lost and we gave ourselves a mountain to climb. And we'll talk about Tanganga being taken off at half-time. It should have happened because that's what caused the goal. But that first half, without VAR, which we will get to in a minute, without VAR, we're 1-0 up at half-time. We can't remember Laurie making too many saves. So our defensive game slowed the game down. And games that are played, even though it's a 45-minute half, 90-minute game, are played in sections. So when you go away from home, certainly to a better team, I think we can all beat Chelsea up. The first 20 minutes, keep it tight. Then sort of like see how far you can go. First 20 minutes of the second half, if you're in the game, keep it tight and then go for it at the end. We've always heard, when we're playing a weaker team and we've got a big game next, go out like a train for the first 20 minutes, go and get a few goals, half-time, game done, best a few key players. So it is done in sections. But I personally think that the tactics did work in that first half. It's just VAR has screwed us over. Whether we'd have held on to a 1-0 lead or added to it, or we'd have lost 2-1, no one knows. But obviously, when the first goal goes in, we don't get it, then you have to change your mentality. But what did you think of the tactics? When you first saw them, when the game started, and during the first half and second half? He obviously changed it in the second half when they scored, just slightly too late, so they scored a second goal before we made the changes. But what did you think of the tactics employed?
Well, kind of like yourself, I thought they were working okay in the first half, but I think that maybe when they went in at halftime, Conte maybe should have said to them, or maybe the players themselves should have told themselves, okay, this is 0-0 now. We've held them, held them to a draw at halftime. We're doing better than we did against them in the last game. So maybe now we should go out and start attacking them, and start attacking them like really clinically and stuff. Maybe change up the tactics bit. Maybe take a couple players off at halftime, like as you were saying, actually Tanganga, because we saw the result of not taking him off at halftime, unfortunately. Because in the second half we tried to use those same tactics again. It imploded right in our faces. I could be wrong here now because I remember the other goalfish, but within 10 minutes they were 2-0 up. 20 minutes, a short amount of time anyway. Okay, those tactics were okay to work in the first 45 minutes. Maybe tired Chelsea out because they were doing the majority of the attacking. But the second half, I think it was just a wasted opportunity, to be honest. We should have used that half to step forward and move more into Chelsea's box and be more clinical and just start attacking them more, actually going at them. Because everyone and their actual nana says that that's how you beat Chelsea, by going at them and taking the game to them, especially at Stamford Bridge, a place where we've won 2 games in 37 years or something. A horrific record.
Yeah, I mean, Ian, what did you make of the tactics? Second half, I know we only had 3 shots, but
I really agree with Brian on this. There's a couple of things. First of all, I can't remember if it was on Saturday night or Sunday morning that I read that Winks, Moura, and who else? Who didn't play? Who might have done? Was on the bench. Skip Reguilon, thanks. Skip Reguilon and Lucas Moura were all doubtful because of injuries, and as it transpired, none of them played. But they all, no, Reguilon didn't, but the other 2 came on. So I'm a little bit confused as to what was going on, and I actually said on stream yesterday, did Conte is Kirst right about that Conte was sending a message to the board, this is the resources I've got. But, I mean, I agree with Brian. Chelsea have been leaking goals, leaking points. They've been vulnerable. They've been vulnerable apart from when they play us. And that has to be a mental thing, whether it's with the coach or whether it's with the players. They've looked really good the 3 games they played against us. But if you look at all the other games they played around this time, Brighton held them. I think Everton got a result against
Brighton held them twice here.
Yeah. So, with the, I'm just looking at Scott here. We don't have the players to play, but we haven't.
Yeah, we have limited players. Just
players at Everton.
Don't have the players to play that we'd like to at Chelsea, which. So yeah,
So I was a little bit disappointed with the approach. There was a lot of square pegs in round holes out there yesterday, and that's something we do need to see addressed over the next few days of the transfer window, because we're still going to have that. Yeah, Tanganga should have come off at half time, but thankfully he was on the pitch. He wasn't on the pitch long enough to get sent off, because that would have been
it was obvious that their focus of attack was down that side, because he got that yellow card and Hudson-Odoi got him again, and he somehow managed to not foul him. But it was obvious they were going to go at him, and he can't do anything. And that goal, it was a superb goal by Ziyech. Nothing Lollies can do about it. But it all came from the fact that, whether you like it or not, it all came from the fact that Tanganga couldn't pull Hudson-Odoi back.
Yeah, and I think
if he takes him off, I don't know who he'd have brought on, but if he takes him off and then, like Adam says, goes a bit more attacking and in your face against Chelsea, you'd have had someone there, Doherty maybe, who can drag him back, and then that goal doesn't happen. Second goal, just I'm not sure what Dyer was moaning about. He didn't touch him. He clearly fouled him. It wasn't the clearest foul.
Do you reckon that was a foul, Chris? Do you reckon that was a foul?
Well, he caught his leg, I think. It wasn't a complete smack on the leg, but yeah, he didn't get the ball at all. But we'll come to VAR and fouls.
Yeah.
And Scott's also said Brighton have a much better midfield than us, which allows them to control the ball. I do agree with that. Our midfield, creative midfield, are the people to.
But as Brian says, the three create. If we wanted to change the tactics, it was the team selection we had was pretty well playing 5 fast bowlers and no spinners. There was no one, there was nobody in the on the bench that was going to come on and make a proper tactical change. There was no Ndombele, there was no Dele, there was no Lo Celso. Probably because Conte's telling them, "I want you out of this club, and I want you out of this club, in a week." But there was no one, once we went a goal down, that was going to be able to change the game. As soon as we went a goal down, you had to say, was anyone optimistic that we were going to get back in it? Because I certainly wasn't.
I don't know what you thought about this, Brad, because in that second half, when he changed it, we went a bit attacking. I mean, I could have played that pass from Højbjerg to Doherty, which he overhit. We had quite a lot of opportunities where we had not half chances, but we had really good chances to play someone in, and the passing was horrendous. What that's to do with, I don't know. And we all know from watching football for years and years and years, even if you're 2-0 up playing absolute scintillating stuff and the other team haven't laid a glove on you, you can see the goal, you will sit back at some point. And if that goal goes in with the 5 minutes left, you will sit back a lot. But, I mean, we had chances there, and in terms of the lack of a playmaker, I think Kane dropping deep, and we'll get onto Kane in a minute. Kane dropping deep works as long as you have someone who goes and takes his position, and that was what Bergwijn was doing. Bergwijn was essentially the centre forward, and Kane was the guy in the middle, but we've only got one, and Bergwijn's not exactly the tallest guy. Thiago Silva's too wily to get done in the air by Bergwijn, and although he did get a foul from him, but yeah, I mean, that second half, we had chances to put people in, and we overhit them, underhit them, complete wrong direction. So I don't think we had 3 shots on goal, I think, but I don't think we were only 3 shots good. I think we had opportunities. Our just final ball was horrendous. Certainly
the totally biased Spurs fan in me, the unrealistic Spurs fan in me, would say Kane's goal should have stood. Dyer shouldn't have had a free kick against him, so we drew the match 1-1. And if we'd drawn 1-0, as I say, this is my biased, unrealistic view. Yeah. And if we'd have drawn 1-0, I'd have been quite pleased with that. But we didn't. We didn't draw 1-0. And no matter what you think about Dyer's foul or non-foul, the defending of that free kick was awful.
Absolutely.
Awful.
Yeah.
So you can't one moment say, "Oh, that was never a foul," and then the free kick comes and they score. But I read a statistic today. I think it might have been Ali Gold said that. Remember the Heung-min Son goal against Chelsea at Wembley, that absolutely magical goal. That's the last time a Spurs player has scored against Chelsea.
Yeah, Rudiger got an own goal.
Yeah, there was an own goal in one of the games, but that's the last time a Spurs player has scored against Chelsea.
The one where he ran David Luiz.
That was 2018, wasn't it? I was in Vegas.
2018. There's another fact that came out today about the Chelsea hoodoo, but it's an abject away record at traditional top 6 in the Premier League era. 1 win at Chelsea, 2 at Arsenal, 2 at Liverpool, 3 at Man City after the takeover in 08-09, and 4 at Man United. That's 12 wins in 131 games.
Jesus fuck.
That is. As if I couldn't be more depressed.
Yeah,
yeah.
And this is what I was saying, talking to you earlier. The messaging. I woke up this morning and it's like, yeah, let's be truthful about this. This team is not good enough. We're not good enough to play against to beat Chelsea. Chelsea are miles above us. We're not good enough. We've got
Brad, can I just sorry, Brad, I just want to say, who's the common denominator?
Yeah. We'll get on
I'm sure we get onto that. I know exactly
that should be very good.
But we have players now. I like Højbjerg, but he's a decent player. But he's not good enough if we want to be challenging for titles. And I'm probably agreeing with Alex THFC about this. He said this months ago that Højbjerg wasn't good enough. Winks is not good enough. Now I won't comment on Skip because Skip's only just started his Tottenham career. He's 20. I reckon he's going to be a good player. So I'm leaving him out of that equation. But these players are not good enough. Now, we get out-muscled by Chelsea when we go there. The players they've got, Jog, whatever his name is, Kovacic and those sort of players. So maybe that was why tactically we had... Well, I thought they was going to go with the same midfield that played against Leicester.
Yeah.
Quite defensive. But I thought, well, it'll be combative against the Chelsea midfield, and then maybe you can rely on Kane and Bergwijn, doing your runs and that. But we didn't go with that. But, Harry Winks has been playing well. Again, was found wanting. The players we had in this big game weren't good enough. Now, we're all talking about, we got games in hand. Okay, look at it this way. We've got to go to Anfield. We've got to go to the Etihad. Does anyone in their right mind think we're going to get anything at those 2 grounds? Because I certainly don't think we will. I think we're going to lose both of those games. I can't see us getting anything from those games. So there's 2 games. That brings us level with Man United. So that means Man United are 2 points clear of us.
Yeah, but they're not the 2 games. They're not the games in hand. The games
no. What I'm saying
is, if you win them, because we've lost to Chelsea, we can potentially undoubtedly kind of carte blanche.
Yeah, so
other clubs will have to go there as well.
No, that
leaves you 8 games or whatever it was. No, 16 games to gain 2 points on Man United. And I think Arsenal, if we leveled it out with losing those 2 games, we would be 3 points behind Arsenal. And I think West Ham, we've got the game in hand on them. I think West Ham probably aren't in the equation. But that's what I'm saying. you've got to look at the rest of this season. I am anyway, and this is what I thought this morning. You've got to look at the rest of this season and think that 2 of the games we've got to play, we're going to lose. We're not getting any points.
Yeah. I thought we could win yesterday. Now, I'm not for 1 second saying that we're a better team than Chelsea. But, giant killings happen in the FA Cup all the time. Brighton, who would have ever thought they'd be up there where they are with the teams that they're in the Premier League? So I thought we could win. Now, that does not mean that I think these players are good enough to mount a challenge against Chelsea and everything like that. But I thought the Leicester game, the way we won the Leicester game would have buoyed them up a little bit. But we obviously need some players out, some players in, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. But yeah, I thought we could win. The way that we played against Liverpool, I would imagine Klopp will employ the same tactics, everyone bombing forward, whether he'll leave 2 at the back. I'm not sure he'll do that, but I think we'll get chances. Will we win? It's not stacked in our favour, but I'd never say never. I'm the eternal optimist, which when we lose, like yesterday, is an even bigger kick in the teeth. At 1-0,
I thought that, well, who knows? Maybe we might get a bit of luck and get an equaliser. But
in terms of luck, Brian, we'll get on with him and VAR. I thought, Harry Kane's offside against Southampton. Cavani is in exactly the same position. He's given onside. So either Kane's goal was offside and so is Cavani's, or Kane's goal was offside and so is Cavani. Yeah. Now, it was onside because his hand and Cavani's hand was offside. So therefore, none of them are offside. But one gets given, one doesn't. Earlier in the day, Jota knocks the ball out of play, looks at the goalkeeper, runs into him, goes down. It's a penalty. Yeah. And then Thiago Silva, whether Kane needed to touch him, Gary Neville in commentary said he was just using it to stop him barging into him and knocking him off his feet. Whether he needed to or not, but he obviously went down and the goal was disallowed. Then you've got idiots like Jamie Redknapp praising Thiago Silva and then moaning the next week about simulation. Roy Keane moaning about how it was the right call, and then telling Gary Neville years before you're too soft. I think even my Man United friend Ben, who seems to have a real agenda and hates Kane, said it should have been a goal. So I don't think anyone could really say it wasn't a goal. They had a Chelsea guy in the studio, Jamie Redknapp and Roy Keane, who hates Spurs. But I mean, that goes in. It could be a different game. I'm not saying it would have been, but obviously we go in half 1-0 up. The tactics are working. The obvious downside of those tactics is if you go 1-0 down, it's very difficult to turn yourself from a really negative team into a positive team when the other team are positive. But I thought Dyer's one was a foul. It wasn't like he's completely taken his legs out. I didn't think he did clip him and behind it. But
yeah, Chelsea.
There was another instance where the referee didn't give a foul, and it's exactly the same as Dyer's.
Yeah, well, you can argue that with a Cavani goal and Kane's goal against Southampton. There's inconsistencies everywhere. But I mean, Brian, what did you make of the decisions? The VAR in the league this season, the Kane goal and the Dyer challenge?
But first of all, when it comes to, I just want to go back to the starting lineup for a minute as well. It showed how ravished we are, whether it's injuries, depletion, lack of investment, the squads, whatever. When you had Harvey White and Dane Scarlett on the bench, you may as well have just had 2 empty seats, because they were never, ever, ever coming on. That was just filler to make it as a full bench. That they were never in a month of Sundays coming on. Harvey White, possibly for midfield assurances and set pieces. Dane Scarlett, not a chance. VAR is now pathetic, and it's not the technology; it's the people behind it. Absolutely. I'm of the strong opinion now that you need ex-professionals in there with them. It's come to the point where there should be an ex-professional, obviously not someone who's represented either team, to say, whoa, wait a minute. As a player, this is like, because that decision was disgusting. Now, I've even had when I was on We Are Tottenham TV, where we did Tottenham on tour yesterday, and I've seen it on other shows. Other fans of channels were coming in and even saying, I don't support Spurs, but that was a goal. And when you see other fans saying it from other teams, even from our rivals, something's dodgy. And it's got to the part, there's been a big joke on Twitter, and I think Ian tweeted it as well, where it says VAR check what badge or something. something
checking club badge.
And it's that's what it's become. It's not the technology. The technology works. We saw how wonderfully it was used in the Euros. In the Euros, it was simply There's no long decisions. The referee, it worked in absolute unison. I mean, we go back to it now on the Harry Kane offside against Southampton, and then the Matt Doherty goal that the goalkeeper messed up, and the referee didn't see that the referee blew, even though it was a goal. They can't. There are so many rules as into when you can check it. No, you can't check it. Yeah, but the referee blew this, or the referee jumped on his left foot when he blew the whistle, so you can't do that, or he used his right. It's getting ridiculous now. I don't think the players know what's going on, and quite frankly, I think the officials now, for a long time, they're too scared to make a decision. They're just waiting for VAR to say something or do something.
VAR was brought
They
in.
won't overturn the decision, will they? They won't overturn. The penalty that Liverpool got. They said, "Oh, I think you better go and look at this." And he went and looked at the screen and still gave the penalty.
Yeah,
VAR was brought in because referees make mistakes. Referees are making mistakes now, and VAR isn't doing its job and overturning it. But I did see something on Twitter today. I do have to say this in like the opposite side. People saying Spurs always get the dodgy deals of VARs. Those people are obviously forgetting Kane should have been sent off on a 3-game ban against Liverpool and got away with that one. So it happens to every team. Well. Every team will get their dodgy decisions. Every team will get their good decisions. But I do have to say that but even though Kane should have had a goal against Southampton and Chelsea, he should have also been sent off. So it does go against you.
With the Chelsea game as well, going half-time at 1-0, it would have made a huge difference, because then the team that we actually had out with 4 wing-backs that we just discussed and being ultra-defensive would have had something to cling on to. That's where this formation that we started with would have hugely benefited Tottenham, because we were going ultra-defensive, we had defensive players there, and it would have been something to cling on to. When we had to go and chase the game or go and get the game to get the lead, the formation and the players, the personnel on the pitch, through whatever means, weren't there to attack, weren't there to go for the jugular. They were there to try and counter-attack, get a smash and grab, and hold. And hold and hold and hold. And then, obviously, if we'd got in 1-0 with that goal that should have stood, that complex of that game could have changed dramatically, and that team could have come out and sat in and done what they wanted to. But obviously, just going on to, I mean, Ziyech's goal. I mean, one thing it's like when we had the honour and privilege of seeing David Beckham in his prime in the Premier League, every single player, every single fan, every single commentator knew, do not let him cut in on his right foot. Do not give him time on his right foot. And with Ziyech, it's exactly the same, but on his left foot. And we saw it a couple of years ago at Ajax. Whenever he hit the post twice, he was... And what do? We get the ball out left. It's like, oh, no, take your time. Do you want the top corner here? Let me just move out the way a bit and give you a...
It's like they were fanboys watching him.
They literally, it's like, that was rookie. Even though we had an ultra-defensive team, don't put your body on the line. Lunge in, do whatever you've got to do. Just don't give him a clean sight on goal on Ziyech's left foot. On his right foot, do what you want. Yeah. And it's rookie mistakes. It's rookie mentality mistakes. You switch off for a second in this league, you get punished. And it's what happened. But Silva obviously goes and gets the second goal. But yeah, Kane was very, very, very unlucky once again.
Yeah, I mean, Scott M said here, Adam, don't think it was a foul, talking about Dyers here, but close enough that I don't think it was an awful call either. I mean, what did you make of that? I thought it was a rash decision, and I thought he clipped his leg at one of the angles. Not like a complete takeout, which was, well, that's obviously a card and a foul, but what did you make of that?
I mean, Silva went down way too easily, and it was just so obvious it was on purpose. Like, I mean, he's done this. He has doing this. He's played in all the other top leagues. He's like in Europe, like, so he knew exactly what he was doing. Like, you know, one thing that annoyed me, I saw people like, or even heard people saying that they would give him an Oscar for that. I was like, oh, I give him a bloody Razzie. That was some of the worst acting I've seen in my life, because it was so obvious he was diving. But yeah, no, I don't think it should have been a foul. I think the goal should have stood. But maybe that's just me being biased. Like, but I mean, Kane didn't touch him that much. I thought, like, it was more like a tap on the back. It wasn't an actual push. Had it been an actual push, I would have said fair enough. Like, you know, or you know, like, you know, that's a foul. But like, it wasn't that. No.
Ryan here, how you doing, Ryan? Why was Silva not booked for his celebration? I don't know what his celebration was. I was too busy thumping the sofa, so I didn't see it. Yeah,
You and all of us, you and all of us, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and all of us.
Oh, and Scott is actually talking about Kane's foul. Dyer's was a foul. Kane's one.
But this is it. This is the problem. This is modern football now. Modern football, you can have a goal disallowed for having a toenail offside. You can have a goal disallowed because you just hit someone with your finger and he's fallen over. This is modern football now. This is why it's ruining the game, because you're taking out all of these goals.
But if that rule gets allowed, then there's no goals from corners anymore, because people get pushed all the time. There's no goals from corners anymore because people are going to be pushed all over the place. But
the other thing is that you can imagine how that would have affected Tottenham in the dressing room. Because they'll be thinking, well, even when we do score against Chelsea, it's ruled out.
Yes, that's where the mentality comes in, that you've got to get angry about that and go, well, we will fucking score. We'll score. If he doesn't take out, we won't sit down and sulk. We will go and fucking score.
I mean, what mentality?
He ran into the crowd to celebrate, but Bergwijn did that against Leicester, didn't get booked. So
I think he might. I think he might have actually gone in the crowd where Bergwijn was sort of in front of the.
Højbjerg pulled him back.
Crowd. So
Bergwijn was really lucky. If he hadn't been pulled back, it was a second yellow,
he'd have been off,
and he wouldn't have been. So Bergwijn was pretty lucky, having already had a yellow card. I can understand any player wanting to jump into the crowd when they've, just scored two in.
Skip virtually rugby tackled Silver in the box and nothing was given.
Absolutely.
On the other side.
But then that crowd ball getting booked for taking his shirt off or whatever is ridiculous. Unless you're doing an alibi or running all the way to the other end to celebrate in front of the opposition fans to wind them up. You jump in with your own fans, they're not going to be offended by you scoring. But Ryan said Doherty pulled Bergwijn back. I thought it was a long issue back, but
that was Højbjerg. Yeah, I guess one was Højbjerg.
Can I come in on?
What we'll say, Adam, is a Spurs player pulled him back. We'll say it.
Yeah. That's it.
Chris, can I come in on the decisions yesterday?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an ex-referee, so I sort of try and look at it from both points of view.
Why did you go to the VAR room, Ian?
Well, first of all, you say we were robbed by VAR. I think we need to be clear on this, that the referee gave the foul. So the only question there was, and I'm going to go back to the Liverpool game in a minute, was there a clear and obvious error by Paul Tierney for the VAR official to turn around and say, you need to have a look at this because you've made a clear and obvious error? I'm basically with Scott. Hang on. I'm basically with Scott on this, that I think it was within a margin of error for the referee. I think Silva did dive, but there was contact on the back, and I can understand why the referee gave it, and I can also understand why VAR chose not to interfere. Similarly with the foul by Doherty on was it on Hudson-Odoi, where he I
thought it was off.
It's a red card. It's a red card. It's disgusting.
It probably wasn't, and I'll tell you why. I said when I was on New Asian TV yesterday, it was an orange card. It was an orange. It was one of those that was. It was certainly a yellow. It was marginally close to being a red, but it wasn't because his feet weren't off the ground, etc., etc. That it was within a margin of error for the referee in the same way as the Kane one was, which is why I think VAR chose not to interfere. And Doherty, of course, didn't get a yellow card because the VAR doesn't empower the VAR official to tell the referee to reverse the decision and give a free kick and give a yellow card, and the match restarted with a throw-in.
It did actually,
which was the original decision that the referee
expressed Scott's view, so perfectly better than he could have done.
Yeah, so that's where it comes to go, and this is where I think the quality, and I think Brian again makes a really interesting point about having ex-pros. There's always been talk about having ex-pros as referees, and they keep trying it, or they used to. Probably they make too much money now to want to become referees. But they don't make it because they might get the game, but they don't really understand the laws, and their man management skills, which is necessary to be a decent referee, aren't good enough either. But with something like that, where you can explain, look, the player's clearly thrown himself or what have you, that would really work. Now you go back to the Jota incident, I'm going, that's never a foul. And this again, it has to be a clear and obvious error.
Clear and obvious error is irrelevant now, because when a referee gives Kane's goal against Southampton and he's offside by a toenail, that's not clear and obvious. So clear and obvious with offside is completely irrelevant now because it doesn't exist.
But this is part of the problem, isn't it? That where you're meant to have the lines, this is meant to be an objective measure. Whereas
Don't get me on the lines. Don't get me on the lines.
Whether Jota was fouled by the goalkeeper is a subjective decision. That's a matter of opinion. And my point on this is they took 2 3/4 minutes to decide that the referee. How can you look at it for 2 3/4 minutes and say it's a clear and obvious error? Now, to me, the referee got it absolutely right, and you can quite clearly see Jota. I'm doing this. You can't see me on screen. Moved his right leg into the goalkeeper to go over.
So he looked at the goalkeeper first when he realised the ball was that way and ran into him, and then they get
never any basis for the VAR official to do anything other than what the VAR official did in the Spurs game, was to say there's no clear and obvious error, get on with the game. And this is the inconsistency that is driving people balmy, because the officials aren't up to the job. There's too many officials that just aren't up to it. Just going back to quickly, because I know you want to bring other people in, the Man United goal, I have to say, I thought was a perfectly good goal. I watched that game live, and if you look at, is it Mitchell's the left back? Was it? No, what's his name? The left back? No, not Mitchell.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, you look at his feet. His feet are way nearer to that cut of the line than Cavani, and then you're only looking at, was he dipping? I have no problem with that goal being given.
Well, my issue is the inconsistency with the Kane one. Both their arms were offside.
Yeah,
one gets given, one doesn't. Both are onside because their feet and what they scored with are onside. That's the inconsistency that we're talking about. And like Brian said, like you say, getting it. But then even when you get an ex-pro in, Gary Neville said Kane's one was a goal. Roy Keane. You read that Hasselbank said it wasn't a goal, but at least you get like a basis and an explanation based on someone who actually played and understands how the game is played.
But again, it goes back, and I say robbed by VAR. Without VAR, if there was no VAR, Poultin is given the free kick. It's a free kick. You can argue the toss all you want. Without VAR, that's a free kick. It's not a goal. I mean, against Chelsea in the game against the game against Chelsea in the second leg, without VAR, we get 2 penalties we should never have got and an offside goal. So
I don't care. We'd have gone to penalty.
We'd have gone through. Yeah,
we'd have been through. We'd have been celebrating Wembley, and everyone would have said we want ENIC forever.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about a bit of comedy now. I'm assuming this is going to be a bit of comedy for people. Brad's kind of already answered this, so I'll come to you last. Brian, top 4 hopes, are there still any? Personally, I think there are, because of the game's hand, and there's a lot of football to be played yet. Mathematically, it's possible. We still don't know what will happen in the next 7 days. We'll come to transfers in a bit. But, if we've got some extra players in, I think top 4 is really hard taking. But,
this is Brian's favourite type of comedy.
I'm not even laughing at transfers. I'm laughing at top 4 hopes.
I'm
laughing at top 4 hopes because I'm going to throw out. Let's say we get a Dharma. Let's just say we get a Dharma, and let's just say it's the only bit of business. I'm not even throwing this at the board. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. What you're relying on, he's got 11 players that he thinks he can rely on. What you're technically relying on is all 11 players staying 100% fit, 100% playable, and 100% on their game for every single game we have done. It doesn't matter if you're Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Manchester City, Liverpool, Juventus. It's impossible. It's impossible. for the position we're in, all right, if you're Man City and got like a 14-point lead, then yeah, you may be able to chop and change. There is no chance with the team as it is that can do it. And you don't get me wrong, mathematically it's possible, but I'm still with the games that we've got in hand. What is it? 3. If you gave me 6
on Chelsea,
okay, so let's go on the 4 on Chelsea. If you were to give me 7 or more points, 7 minimum, I'd bite your hand off for it right now, because I'd rather the points on the board than potentially 12 points. There is no way with the games coming in. Listen, again, we go on about it with Spurs. One thing we're missing, we haven't got that killer mentality. Fact. Manchester United, all right, they're not doing well right now. They're not on fire. You look at their squad and the winners and the serial winners they've got in their squad. If they all get their ducks in a row and switch on, their mentality of winners will get the job done. West Ham, obviously, they go hot and cold. I'm not even going to bring the filth into this. But to me, don't get me wrong. If we sign, if help freezes over and I'm proven wrong, and we get 3 top. When I say top, I don't mean fucking Messi. I mean people like Vlahovic, people of Premier League experience, people that you'd say, yeah, do you know what? That's quality. Then yeah, it's doable. It's doable. But right now, with just Adama, and let's face it, the only one that looks concrete that we can talk about, because we're pushing again today. As I tweeted, the catchphrase of the day for Adama is we're pushing. And I've said we don't need a director of football or a scouting network. We need a midwife and a labour ward at Tottenham Hotspur Way, because all we seem to be doing is pushing. Let's face it. We can all agree that right now the only one we think that's concrete that's going to go over the line is Adama. Does Adama mean top 4? He's not saying like when we signed a Van der Vaart, you're like, yeah, do you know what? That dude will do it. Adama can come in and do a job. And the one thing he will do, guaranteed, is he will cause panic in other defences. He will attract people to him and free space. But his problem is, can he find the people in space? Will he release the ball? Will he? And I just think with him being the only one coming in, it's not doable. I think we might push for it. I think we might make a solid push. I just don't think we'll get it over the line.
No, and we got a comment from Scott Adam. We don't have a top 4 level squad, so top 4 relies on bringing in good players and/or other teams having injuries. So, being in the top 4 base is completely different to getting 4th. We're definitely in the top 4 base, certainly in my book, anyway. And I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility, but we do need, like Brian said, like we've seen with Moura and Morecambe as well. He knows who he can trust now, and it's probably 11, 12, 13 maybe players. So we haven't got Europe to play, but we still can't last with just those 11, 12 players. But
it's our big game mentality, Chris, as well, which we haven't got.
No,
we got to go to Old Trafford. We got to go to Anfield. We got to go to.
The positive.
It would be nice to have some players, though.
So you back me up, but Adam, top 4. Doable, likely, unlikely, impossible. Where do you sit on it?
I sit in the unlikely category, but still, 5, 6, 7% possible, I suppose, at this point. I mean, that's not a lot, but it doesn't mean I don't think that it's completely impossible. I definitely think we have the squad to finish top 6, and definitely because of the manager, mostly. I mean, Conte, he's worked on some of those players. We've seen the likes of Davis, Winks, even recently Matt Doherty of all people start to come good. Good is a strong word in some of their cases, but better than their standards. Even though, to be honest, on the flip side of that, you could argue that they couldn't have gotten much worse. But I think we can definitely finish top 6. That's more than doable. But we need reinforcements. We need quality players. We don't need quantity of players. I think we just need quality of players. Even though I would love to see our depth problem, or our lack of depth problem, sorted out. But at the same time, I'd love to finish top 4 because we haven't done it now in a few seasons. Ethan. So if we bring in the likes of maybe a Kessie, a Vlahovic, which I don't think we will now at this point, then yeah, we can definitely finish top 4. But like so far, we're only getting one player, and that deal isn't done yet. And there's exactly 7 days to go in the window. Like, why are they taking so long with one player? Never mind 3.
We'll come on to transfers and that in a bit. Obviously, get it done early, But Ian, one of my friends, Ben, United fan, thinks we're favourites for top 4. He said that after the Leicester game.
Yeah.
Whether he thinks we are now, I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to him, but I imagine West Ham will be thinking that they're not favourites. Leicester, who still aren't out of it, won't be thinking they're favourites. And obviously we're 12 points in hand, but 11 behind Chelsea, so we could catch them. Getting 12 points out of 4 games in hand, very, very, very unlikely. Not impossible, very unlikely. But where do you sit on the top 4?
I don't see Chelsea as being realistic. I think if we and this is where we're all fickle, and and to some extent, one good result and back you're back on the treadmill again. If we'd have won yesterday, Kane's goal stands, we held out. We're suddenly 5 points behind them with we got 4 games in hand. It's for third place. It's a completely different scenario. I think a lot is going to depend on what happens in the next 7 days. I know there's some people losing patience. Brian in particular.
7 hours, 7 days and 2 hours exactly.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous because the prospect of not getting the players in that we need. But there's still talk about Tanganga going. There's talk about Bergwijn going.
There's Dele on loan to
despite that, Dele, Lascelles, Soton, and Ndombele. That's 5 players with a fair number of international caps between them as well. If they're going, there has to be at least 3, if not 1 replacement for each of them. So I still think there's a lot of business that's going to be done. I'm not quibbling that stuff should have been done, and the Traore thing's been going on from the summer. This should have been done the day the window opened, to be honest with you. But it's just the Tottenham way, and it frustrates the hell out of all of us wherever we sit on the the Levy-Enoch debate. This lastminute.com is just singularly unhelpful. But I think it's still very much on. I think Man United have
someone who's positive like me. Come on,
Man United have got problems. I think they've got problems in the fact that who do they play? What is their best formation? Does Ronaldo actually help them, or does he hinder them? Do they play Cavani as well as Ronaldo? They've got good players, but I don't think they've got particularly great defenders. I think their attackers are good, but they seem to get in each other's way as much as that. I think Arsenal are mentally weak, and I think that West Ham are doing the usual West Ham. They haven't got. Last year they were in a wobble, and they got in Lingard, and that seemed to give them a big impetus. Not sure that lightning's going to strike twice. I think it's between us and United, and I think we're capable of doing them. And you've still got that Conte factor. So
I actually have a thinking as well. I'm actually scared because I think, and they have the power, resources to do it. Yeah. I think Manchester United may be the one that put a rabbit out of the hat on deadline day, like they did when they signed the. What was the name of the striker they signed a few years ago? The one who used to play at Monaco, Falcao. I mean, when they pulled a blockbuster out, if anyone's got a rabbit out of the hat that they can pull and attract someone very quickly, it's them. And I worry that they might get a midfielder. And if they get a holding midfielder that could actually do a job better than Fred and McTominay, then the whole game could change. And we all know Manchester United have the power, resources, and the pull. And on transfer deadline day, they won't mess about with wages. They'll just go right, done by. Yeah. And it worries me.
Brian, how happy do you think their camp is? Because I'm not with Pogba, and they bought what do you call the winger guy they bought from Germany? That's not
Sancho.
Oh, Sancho.
Sancho.
Sancho, yeah.
Saka, he's the one who plays for Arsenal. Saka. Sancho, I mean, I still think there's some problems behind the scene there. Having a temporary manager here today, gone tomorrow. I don't think that's ever.
Yeah, he's moving upstairs though, isn't he? So he's going to be moving upstairs if he doesn't take it. I mean, like I said,
I was told by my Man United friend Ben, 13 players, I think it was. It might have been 11. Want out because they don't like him. And the problem that you get, I agree with him, with an interim manager is the players who aren't playing, who will have to come in at some point because you get injury suspensions. Like, why am I playing for him? He's not here in 4 months. I'll just play for the next match.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's
the issue that you get with that. But I agree with you as well that if Manchester United are the biggest club in the world, if they want someone, they can probably get it. They don't have
You'll get it. Rangnick, you've got to remember, has very, very big resources he can pull on from his past. He may be a temporary, but the resources that he has at his disposal, the names that he can pull out, that he has worked with or dealt with, he could pull a rabbit out of the hat. And it just, like we keep saying, that one person with that mentality or that one holding midfielder that could come in, that we've been saying that is the unbalance in their squad. If there's one person there, and again, let's just say we make a last-minute push for Vlahovic. Okay, I'm just picking Vlahovic as an example. And Manchester United pick a midfielder of that ilk, and when I say that ilk, I mean of that quality, of that class, and it's on deadline day. Who do you think's going to pull that? Who's more likely to pull that deal off on deadline day? It's Manchester United.
I think that's a rhetorical question, Brian.
And if they do that, like they did with the Falcao, now I'm not saying Falcao's a great signing because he didn't work out, but potentially at the time, top of his game, top of his game. If Manchester United put a rabbit out of the hat and they've got the resources, like I said, they can even pull 2 rabbits out of the hat. That's the difference, and that's where I'm concerned. You're right with Pogba, you're right with everything else, but if Rangnick can pull 2 rabbits out of the hat, that whole mentality changes.
I mean, in terms of our Spurs top 4 hosts, said it's doable, highly unlikely, only a possibility because of Conte and Alan Harris. How you doing, Alan? We haven't got the depth. We can't afford to pick up injuries at the moment. We might get Traore, who has a bad history of injuries. And that brings us on, Brad, to Mr. Brian Daigle's second favourite subject. The transfer window. Now, Traore, I was watching Sky before I came on. They reckon Traore's close. We've been hearing that for about 15 years from various different players. But I still think he'll come to us, whether it's a loan, whether it's 20 million, whatever it is. I think it's just dragged on too long. But I think that will probably be the only one. We're linked with an 18-year-old striker who we've got one. He's called Dane Starr.
One for the future.
Get a striker who can play now. Transfer window. Talk to me about it. What are your views on this?
It's been shit. That's me done. Listen, I'm going to have my say on this, then I'm going to go because literally I've come home or I've come back to spend some time with Kim, and all I've done is be on stream. So I'm going to make sure I spend some time with Kim, and I want to chill before I go protest tomorrow. So yeah, listen, transfers. Here we go again. Listen, it's the same thing, time after time after time after time after time. The worrying thing we're hearing is obviously we're trying to get rid of some creativity, but we might not re-sign creativity. And the biggest problem I have with this transfer window, once again, is we're trying to get players out before we bring players in. Now that never works in anybody. Surely you should strengthen your team and say, right, this player's in, now you can go. Not now you're going, because what we've seen, and it's happened time and time again, the players go out and then he gets silly buggers with the price. And he'll haggle and he'll duck and dive, and then time runs out. Well, it's all well and good if you've done that at the beginning of the window. You got that time to duck and dive and see who's got the biggest cock and see who can piss the highest or whatever. We've got, like I said, we're literally 2 hours away, or not that I'm counting, 1 hour, 52 minutes away from a week. And time is running out. And the fact that there's no real solid names, the fact that there's nothing to really sink our teeth into is highly concerning for me. And then you think about when he said Paratici is in charge of all footballing matters and everything. And here we are in the same state that we are every single window before Paratici. it's just very, very concerning. We are Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and we are going around once again. It's clear we need players. Now, I keep saying to people, I don't expect, when I say we need players, I don't want us to go spend 150 million for the sake of it. You look at Inter Milan, and Antonio Conte went to the board at some point during this window last year and said, I need someone that can play left wing back. Go get me Ashley Young. And it wasn't, oh no, we've got no resale value for him, or oh no, what we do. Okay, you say you want this, you're the manager. Bang. There's Ashley Young. I'm not just saying that's the whole reason, but they back the manager. And I don't want us to go out and do what we do and say, I want this player, and then find an alternative. If Conte said he wants this person, I don't even care. Right now, if Tottenham came out and Antonio Conte said in a press conference, I want Ashley Barnes from Burnley. If I hear those words come out of Antonio Conte's mouth, I want Ashley Barnes. I want Ashley Barnes, because that's what Conte has said. There is no point having a manager, and why pay him? Why is Paratici there if he's not? The whole chaos around this again just drives me. But I don't know if people know, but it's been driving me ever so slightly deranged and ever so slightly crazy. I mean,
define slightly for me, because I'm if you want.
Slightly is mahusive. So just slightly. I'm about to check myself back into the mental health unit. Is what it's doing to me.
No,
I'm joking.
It's only football, Brian. Remember, it's only football.
Actually, talking of mental health, I will say before I talk about trousers, Tottenham on tour will hopefully be doing their mental health show on February the 3rd. On Thursday, February the 3rd. And as we said, every single super chat that goes towards it will be going to a mental health charity here in England and a mental health charity back in Toronto. Every single penny of that, minus obviously what YouTube take, because they take 30%. So 70% of what we do will be going to mental health charities. But back to transfers. Listen, I will tell you now what will happen. We will make a last-minute bid for someone like a Vlahovic, and I mean final minute, just to make it look like we're going to go for someone. And look, oh, we tried. And then somehow it'll fall through. It'll be like, well, at least you tried. No. This is, I mean, Ian, you'll remember this. When we went out 4-0 to Fulham in the FA Cup a good few years ago now, I'm talking Berbatov era.
Remember that?
It was the day before transfer deadline day. Brad, you'll remember this.
Yeah.
We put in a bid for Giuseppe Rossi, Sergio Aguero, Andy Carroll, and I can't remember the other striker. Every single one of them way below value. But we looked like we tried. Look, we're making a... Listen, we definitely... What you got to remember as well with this transfer window is this transfer window should have been to show Kane we mean business. Because at the end of this window, in the summer, Harry Kane... All right, we got Conte, which was a big play. A big play. Don't get me wrong. But do you think if Harry Kane waits till the summer with no, like we don't invest this winter, and Daniel Levy says those words, don't worry, we're going to do it this year or this summer, do you think Harry Kane's going to believe him? You don't think Harry Kane, when he said staying at Spurs at the start of the window, there probably wasn't a gentleman's agreement, but a written down gentleman's agreement to say, right, do it this year? Or else we're opening up a huge can of worms. We are literally playing with fire, because if we don't back them, does Conte walk in the summer? I've seen something saying that it's not in the offing, but there's talk of it in February. I personally don't believe it. I personally think if he doesn't get back in the summer within the first part, ta-da, see you later, goodbye. But the rumour mills have started talking, which is obvious now. And do I believe there's no smoke without fire? No, I don't. I do think there's because it's now coming out. Andy Gold's even reported saying that Conte's told him what he wants, and it's out of Andy Gold's mouth, but he's favouring towards Paratici and his targets. And it's like, what the hell is going on in this club?
Yeah, you don't employ someone like a Conte if you're not going to take his.
Well, it's not even that. You look at it
seriously. But...
I use this one every single time. Virgil van Dijk, when Liverpool went from in the summer, Southampton kept saying no, like we did with Modric with Chelsea. And then Liverpool said, listen, the window's running out. Do you want me to go get you another central defender? And he went, no, I want Van Dijk. Didn't get him in the summer. New Year's Eve, before the window opened, on the phone to Southampton, how much for Van Dijk? 75 million. Here's 75 million. New Year's Day, he was at Anfield holding the shirt. Couldn't play because he didn't sign in time. Done. That's what we need to do now. The time's run out for the mucking about, but they backed the manager. They listened to the manager. I don't see the point. We've had 4 previous footballing directors under Levy and 4 that have left because of Levy. And here we go in number 5. Listen, to sum up with the transfers, I think Adama's a done deal, or not a done deal, but I think it will. We will finally give birth, and the midwife can go away because we've done all the pushing we can. And I think it will get done, and I think it will get done this week. I think I'll see him at the training ground one of the days that I'm there this week. But people got to remember, if Adama Traore comes in and we're protesting not because everyone will go, oh, look, we got Adama now. That's not the quality we need. And it's not the only one we need. And we just can't keep doing this as a club. We can't keep doing it. This doesn't work. This model of... We could have had Fernandes, but obviously we had to get rid of Eriksen before we could get for some reason. Rather than strengthen your team and then get Eriksen out the door, we can't keep doing this. We can't keep... He can't keep hoping... If he only hopes for Europa League or Conference League, carry on with this model. Because we'll do it. But if you really want to aim for the top, and you really want Champions League money, you have to stop this and start investing in players that will get you there. And I don't think it's going to happen this window. I really, really don't. But I'm going to go spend some time with Kim.
Just quickly before you go, Ryan's asked with your mental health show, can you set up a donation link by PayPal so YouTube don't get anything?
So one of the things we're thinking of doing, so I spoke to, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Kiriako, and I've got to talk to Adam and Brian and Danny about it. Maybe we might even do like a Just Giving or what we did for Bob. Was it Just Giving? What we did for Bob's dad? Just Give or GoFundMe.
Yeah.
We might do a GoFundMe or something that doesn't take a huge percent. PayPal is another option. Because then it's just we need to talk about that. But obviously I was individually contemplating writing to YouTube, and I meant email, not writing, to say, listen, we're doing a mental health show for charity. Can we not get charged? But I said to myself, Joe, if they come back to me and say no, I might go nuclear, and I don't need to ruin our relationship with YouTube.
And they probably would. They probably would say no as well.
Exactly. So, Ryan, the Just Giving, the PayPal idea is a wonderful idea. Maybe that's something we can look at Tottenham on tour for doing, because I think that's actually a very, very good idea. A very, very good idea, because then there's no one getting charged for it. So that's a wonderful idea. But listen, I'm going to let you guys go. I would say I'm going to let Adam, our new guy that's been hired for doing all the fucking plunks.
You're putting all the pressure on me, Brian. I'm
going to wake him up, even when I'm back in Canada and it's 4:00 in the morning and I'm on Will Stewart's show. I'm going to have to phone Adam up and go, get yourself out of bed.
My sleep schedule's bad enough as it is.
So all I will say is we've got up 10. We are 40 away from 3,000.
Yeah, get them up to 3,000. Absolutely deserve.
We are on a huge push for 3,000. We have so many ideas of content coming up. The support we've had has been actually. Wait a minute, that's Adam's job. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it with. I'm going to bow out the way I normally bow out and let Adam bow out the normal way. So first of all, Ian, pleasure. Brad, pleasure. Adam, pleasure. And we'll see you soon. Chris, thank you for having me back on the channel. Always be here for you. You know the love I have for you, and it goes very, very deep.
Right back.
And what also goes, talking about what also goes deep, and as always, Levy out.
Thanks so much for Brian there. And Adam, you're the sole representative now of Tottenham on tour, and therefore you are responsible for keeping Brian posted rather than pay the full amount that goes to charity.
Oh, thanks.
Brad, Anything to add to the transfer?
All I will say is this transfer window. I know everyone goes on about January transfer windows being all the worst ones, blah blah blah, but it is really, really important because if you believe what you read and all the reports, the main activity is going to be going on in the summer with this club. If you believe the press, it's going to be so difficult to attract decent players if we're not playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So that's why this window is really important. And I think, Traore looks like that's going to happen. But we do need 2 or 3 players. And that's why I say about my thing on getting in the top 4. I think if we do get 2 or 3 decent players in, and I'm not talking about world stars, I'm talking about 2 or 3 decent players, then we have got a chance. But I really do worry about, obviously, it's gone on for such a long time. We're getting close to the window and it's up to our old trick. I don't like the way that it seems that Conte is sort of saying, they just call me the coach. Because if you believe, they give me the players and I coach them, with Conte, that's bollocks. I mean, this is one of the best managers in world football. So you're going to, if he wants to play, you're going to say, no, well, you do your work with what we give you. It ain't going to happen, is it? It ain't going to work. So that's why this window, I think Traore is a signing that if we'd have made 2 or 3 other really, really good signings, we wouldn't have worried. But because it's our first one, we're all going, get him in the door. I do laugh at the fact that it looks like we're going to pay 20 million for him because last week it came out that we were offering 15, they wanted 25. And I made a comment on one of the WhatsApp groups. Well, that's easy. That's easy fix. Just offer them 20. Meet in the middle, which it seems that they're actually going to do now. So you think, well, why didn't you do that 3 or 4 days ago? So, but I think my only comments I can add on this window is I think it is a lot more important than I think we're actually giving it credit for because we do need these players. I do worry about our mentality, so we need some players in that haven't got a lot of baggage that a lot of our players have. We've got to go to Old Trafford. We've got to go to. We've got to play Arsenal at home. These are big games. We can't afford to be losing those games. And we'll see what happens. I think there will be. I'm not saying there's going to be a lot of activity on deadline day, but there'll certainly be. Spurs a bit this and Spurs a bit that, and blah blah blah. And then we all know what happens. It never happens because the window. We sit here watching transfer deadline day, and you suddenly look up and it's 5 to 11, and it's all gone. So, that's my take on the transfer window for what it's worth.
I mean, Adam, I think Traore will come in. It will obviously give us a lot of pace going forward if he stays fit. I mean, we don't have too much pace going forward, but for me, we need a creative midfielder. We've been needing one ever since Eriksen went off the ball and ever since Eriksen left, and we don't seem to have one. Winks is the Harrys are our best option at the moment. One isn't that good a passer, and the other means you lose your striker up the top of the pick. So I think Traore will happen. Whether it's the right choice, I don't know. But like Brian said, if Conte wants Traore, I want Traore. But positions. What do you think we need to strengthen here? Really strengthen, to really get a grasp and a grip on top 4.
Creative midfield, definitely. Centre-back, I still think, needs some adjusting. I think it needs some improvement. And striker, just for because what striker do we have apart from Kane still? Yeah. Do you remember the days when we had 4 and we had so many strikers that we had to change around so much just to make them happy?
Well. We had so many different. We had plan A, B, C, D. Now we just
pile all the pressure on Harry Kane. Yeah. But those 3 areas are the key areas where we need to improve, and also we need a backup goalie as well. I don't think enough people either remember this or focus too much on the outfield positions. But when Lloris eventually goes, and I was so glad to see that he'd signed a 2-year contract, but I was more relieved of anything because who do we have? I mean, the other fella, he's just I don't know, an A-Tech Joe Hart. He's just a updated version of him.
I think that's the key of the 2 years. Everyone was expecting, a 1-year extension. I think the 2-year extension is there because at some point in the next year, we will buy a goalkeeper who will be the number 1, but he's not in straight from the cold. And go, right, we're filling Lloris's shoes in the same way that Man United really struggled when Schmeichel left. I think it's right. You're pushing for number 1 with Lloris for these year and a half, whatever, in the same way that he was with Friedel. And then when Lloris does hang up his boots, he's ready to just be the number 1. I think that's what happen there. Whether we'll get another goalkeeper, who we'll get, who knows.
Joe Hart, by the way, is absolutely tearing it up for Celtic at the moment. He's playing really,
I could do a job in
really,
Scotland,
well.
I reckon. And I'm saying,
it's the Scottish League, don't it? I mean, I think I could probably do a good job up in Scotland.
Well, you don't think Scottish players can?
We'd have you back up for Celtic,
eh?
I mean, Ian, I thought when Conte took over, January wouldn't be massive, but summer would be massive. And we don't know what assurances were given to Conte. He looks frustrated, but we've been losing to Chelsea 3 times in a row, so it could just be that. But I personally think he won't walk. But if we don't sign good and sign well and sign what he wants in the summer, I think that could be, well, I'm never going to get anywhere here, so I'll just go somewhere else. But what do you think will happen with transfers? I think Traoré will come in this year. I think that will possibly be it, and there'll be a loan out or two between. With Delhi, I think probably on loan. We need him out. But
I don't see us getting rid of 3 players and not bringing anybody in. I actually think it's going to be a really frantic last few days. I can understand Brian's skepticism with, we'll say we went for this one, we'll say we went for that one. I personally, I think we've got to a point where all of us are sick of, we nearly did, I could have been a contender. I think we're all fed up with that. I think there has to be proper action now. I'm actually one thing I do want to talk about in a minute is this protest on Monday, because I think it could backfire really badly. But Brian's not here. But maybe he'll watch this. And Adam, I think you're a fairly close classmate of Brian.
I wouldn't have ever thought myself being a classmate, but anyway.
Traoré will come. I think Traoré will come. We all know what we need. I mean, whether we buy a backup goalkeeper or not, Galini is not the answer, and this is part of the problem. This is the man that Paratici brought. If I pronounce it right, Paratici's brought in. He's never ever a goalkeeper of the standard. I mean, his positioning is awful. He's way too deep in his goal, like an 11-year-old. He doesn't catch the ball particularly well. He doesn't stop that many shots. Which, I mean, all goalkeepers as a starting point are great shot stoppers. Yes, we need another striker, a proper striker. Yes, we need a creative. We need someone who can bloody pass the ball. Although Winks is a decent passer of the ball, he's not, Ericsson class passer of the ball. And if he's letting all the creativity go, the Ndombele, the Delis, and the Lo Celsos, he has to have players in that are going to replace them. Absolutely has to. And this is, I may as well say this because I think this is where I have a real worry about this protest on Monday, that presumably you've all heard about it, that they're all going to be at the training ground. There's 500 Levy out T-shirts and what have you. I can see that playing really badly with supporters of a lot of other clubs and ours, but particularly other clubs, of who are these self-entitled twats. Let's look at other London clubs: Crystal Palace, Brentford, Watford. Where else are we? Millwall, Charlton, etc. All these supporters that turn up week in, week out to football matches with no prospect of ever, winning anything, let alone being in the Premier League. Or look at who do they actually think they are? So I don't think that's a good look. The other thing is, I can see Monday being really busy, and I think the Levy out campaign can do itself a lot of damage if they're all there with a Levy out and Enoch out, and 2 or 3 half decent players are coming through the door.
Is it Monday or the day after, though? Is it Monday or the day after? Is it Monday or the day after? Because the window.
I thought it's no. I read it was
Monday.
it was on Stelios. It's Monday, and I'm presuming it's done because you know full well that the Sky Television cameras will be there and Sky Report, and they'll be there from. I mean, I think the protest is 9 a.m. till 11 at night. So
that's why they're there to get on camera.
Points. And I just think that whole thing can backfire. The time for me for the Levy out is, if we get to the end of this campaign and we haven't signed anybody, I think the pressure needs to come on. or if Conte walks. Because for me, it's game over if Conte goes.
Oh God,
because this is the best chance we've got of, with, I keep talking about the infrastructure in place, with the stadium, the training ground, the events, the income, and the manager, a winning manager. And if we can't keep him, for me, it's game over. But then there needs to be a coherent, cohesive plan to try and remove, through proper pressure, the existing owners. Because it's no good saying ENIC Levy out. They have to be replaced. And it's not actually Levy, it's ENIC. Because I don't see any point in allowing Joe Lewis to put in another stooge. He'll probably do the job less well than Levy's actually done it. So that's going to mean, and you'll see on Monday, they'll all be there, but they'll have the replica kits and all that. If you're gonna actually put pressure, proper pressure on ENIC, it has to be boycotting of the shops, boycotting of the merchandising, boycotting of the club bars, the club restaurants, and boycotting the season tickets. That's the only way that you're going to do it, is putting the proper financial pressure, not sitting behind with on Sky News with a placard, getting yourself on the television, looking totally self-entitled, and particularly if some decent players do come through the door between now and then, it needs to be much better thought out, much more strategized than it is.
I don't think the not renewing your season ticket will have any effect, because there's such a massive waiting list that there'll just be someone who'll take your place.
What is there now, Brad?
Then you're just biting your nose to spite your face. And I don't think Brian would want people to give up their season tickets either.
No, he said on the stream that he does not want, last night on our channel, he does not want that to happen.
Yeah. As for boycotting the food and drink outlets, again, I'm not so sure that will help. You've got 60,000 people. Well, actually, not at the moment. You've got 50,000 people in there. Are they really going to suffer that much if 500 or 600 don't?
Yeah, it's £1 million revenue a game, Brad. Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah, so I'm not so sure that, I don't think there'd be enough people. And I'm speaking from a completely personal point of view. I get there and I leave late because I like to avoid all the crowded trains. I know people say you should go and drink in a local pub, or the local pubs are normally rammed anyway.
Yeah,
or it might be too late. So
I mean, I have to tell you, Brad, sorry, I know I'm interrupting you here, but I actually really enjoy. First time I went to the new stadium was Everton, last home game of the season, 2019, before the Champions League final. The whole match day experience. We're both of a generation when you went in, 20 to 3. If there wasn't too big a queue, you'd maybe get a cup of tea.
Yeah,
maybe you wouldn't. If you wanted a cup of tea at half time, you had to leave, 5 minutes before half time and probably miss a goal. And then the bars were all shut and the tea rooms were all shut. You crammed out the stadium like this, and onto the train and what have you. That was your experience. Now you can go, you can get some half decent food at not bad prices, get in there and pay. The place is mobbed, an hour before kickoff. Yeah. And then an hour after, living in Glasgow, I catch up with some mates, have a beer, let the trains go, let the queues for the trains. It's a whole experience. But if you want Levy out, they have and ENIC out, they have to be hurt in the pocket. That is the only way. Otherwise, to me, it's just a slogan. And Levy will not care. Levy will not care.
Scott said about the protest, I think they can be pretty confident there'll be no decent signings made on or before Monday. Jay Ashraf, how you doing, buddy? Galini ticks the Levy boxes. Cheap, shit and cheerful.
Basically, yeah. Typical Levy signing.
Yeah. I mean, there are still 7 days. And I saw on Sky Sports before we came on, West Ham haven't signed anyone, but they've heard that Moyes has been told by their owners there's money available, which, if that is all true, why wasn't that done 20-odd days ago? But, yeah, I'm willing to wait 7 days and then see what happens in 7 days. If nothing has happened, then the post-mortem can begin on that one. And like Ian says, if Conte walks because of lack of transfers, lack of promises, then, I mean,
it's game over.
He's going to have pretty much the whole fan base turning on him if they haven't already. And I don't. Yeah.
I'm surprised
I mean,
people-
I
I'm
dread
surprised
to
people
think what
wait this
happens.
long.
Then.
I think one thing that's interesting is I noticed with the streaming community, to me, is not reflective of the general support. I mean, I can tell you of my, and I've got, obviously being a North London boy, a huge number of Spurs supporting friends who've been the Spurs supporters for 50 years and stuff. Then amongst none of them is there this groundswell of we want Levy out. Not one of them.
I think when you stream, you have to be. You can't. You can, but obviously Brian is and Stell is. I think there's a few others, but they're on streams where there's a few of them, so it's not just one person saying this is my view. It's kind of balanced view. So I think you have to be a little bit balanced when you're on a stream rather than just go. Well, that's certainly what I do anyway.
Well, most of the chat.
I can't speak for everyone else, but.
I think, mate, if you look at the chats on the shows that we are Tottenham TV, even Irish Hotspur, most of the people in the chat rooms are Levy out, ENIC out. It's
by a substantial majority, yeah. And there's a lot of people in those chats.
There are.
Now, to be fair, I will, and we're Tottenham TV, it's a bit more balanced, but even then, majority of people Levy, ENIC out, or Leanic as I call them, just like they're of that opinion. And there are a lot of Tottenham fan channels. Some bigger than others, I'll admit, but
But Adam, I mean, I see Tottenham on tour, but just because of your numbers, and obviously Brian's a host of it, who I consider to be sort of the de facto leader of the Levy stroke ENIC out campaign. If you're not supporting giving up season tickets and what have you, how on earth are you going to put the kind of pressure on Levy and ENIC? Because I get the impression Levy's pretty thick-skinned. How are you going to achieve?
I have to agree with Brad on that, because when I got my season ticket, 2014, I think it was, I got a letter just before that saying you're 33,000th on the waiting list or something like that. I can't remember what it was. So I thought, right, okay, well, a couple of seasons I might get on. And then 2 months later, it's like, oh, do you want a season ticket? So there was a thing a little while ago, I think when Nuno was there on Twitter going, oh, the numbers are dwindling because I was 30,000th on the thing. This was before Pochettino. And it's been like that all the time. So I don't think that's indicative of the season ticket holder, And like Brad says, you get 30,000 there. 30,000 will just get it. And like Scott says, not being in the UK, it's hard for me to tell, but based on other sports fan bases I have personal experience in, the largest group in any fan base is neutral, don't care. So 30,000 people, a lot of those will be, well, I don't care, I just want a season ticket. So if people do give away their season ticket, he still gets their money because people take it on. But he also goes on to say, well, people going on and watching streams puts in a very different bracket than most fans.
I think
and he's asked you a question, Ian. Are most of your friends ENIC in or more indifferent to ownership issues?
I think most are relatively indifferent, but some of my, intelligent friends, long-serving friends, broadly supportive. I mean, no one's happy with not winning trophies. I mean, I was at Wembley in 1971. The first time I went to Wembley for the League Cup final. I am that old. And there again,
as well.
I was there in 81. I didn't go to the replay because I was doing my finals. I was there for both games in 82. I was at White Hart Lane in 1984. I was at Wembley in 91. I've been there. I've seen it. I've seen the glory days. And if you think me or anybody else is happy with what's going on, I think that's a total misunderstanding of where I'm at. But the game has changed dramatically. We've also, I've got the statistics. We've lost 8 FA Cup semi-finals in a row. 8 finals. Now, it's almost difficult to do that because even on the law of averages, you would win 4.
And I said it every time I go to a semi-final. Every time I go to a semi-final, law of averages are going to win this one. And
when you look at the League Cup finals, something funny enough, there's something on the stream with Rez and a couple of others. But we lost to Blackburn in 2002 in Cardiff. I was there then as well. Semi-final to Arsenal in 2007. We actually won it in 2008. We lost the penalties in 2009 to Manchester United, lost the 15 final to Chelsea, lost the 19 semi-final to Chelsea, lost the 21 final to City. I mean,
the list goes on, doesn't it?
Making is, say, lack of trophies. It's not as if we haven't had the opportunities to win trophies. And if we'd have won 3 or 4, and even by the law of averages, we should have won more. And that's, of course, not mentioned in the Champions League final. We fluked our way to. Even by the law of averages, if we'd have won 4 trophies, we wouldn't be having this debate. And I don't think it's ENIC's fault that the players on those days consistently didn't perform. And that's successive generations of players. And then you complain about the expenditure. Yeah, we haven't spent enough, and not back. After 2019, that was a big mistake. But I understand.
Well, it was a summer after 16-17 where we got 86 points second at Chelsea, and we didn't. Yeah. We needed a couple of those
windows where he spent.
Yeah. We needed 1 or 2 real stars like your Gareth Bales to come back and stuff. He wouldn't have come back because he was on too much money then. But kind of caliber of player who would have made a real difference to really have a go. Yeah. And that's the start of where we've dropped, because we were. In that 2-year period, in terms of total points over the 2-year period, we were well in front in winning that league because other teams had dropped on one of the other seasons. And that was where we didn't strengthen and get a couple of quality players in, which is where we really struggled.
I got a feeling that this is where Levy's lack of football comes in. I got a feeling he's saying, come on, you've nearly won the league 3 years running. These players are good enough.
But that's where you employ a manager to say what I need, and if you're not going to listen to the manager, what's the point of having a manager in the first place?
Couldn't agree with you more. And the other thing, of course, is that I've lost my train of thought because it's brought me on to another thing. Yeah, he wanted to pay for the stadium, and I think he's thinking, I've got the team there, I'll save that money. And I'll put it into the stadium fund. The last point on that is, and I've heard this, and I hate it when people come on and something they've heard and they post it as if it's a fact. But one thing I did hear, and it would be so typical of Levy to have done this, is Mourinho told him, I can make winners out of these players. You don't need new players. And that's why he sacked Pochettino. Because, all right, we were 14th, but he was sort of seduced by the idea Mourinho...
He was a Jose fanboy, though, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's always wet dream for him having Jose in.
We can all flutter our eyebrows at the pretty girl and hope she'll come out with us. It's and I think this is where Levy lets himself down. Is he should be leaving the football to football people.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's what I thought Paratici was brought in for.
Well,
but you still have to give Paratici a budget and say, there you go, you spend it how you want. I'm not going to get involved. But it seems that he is involved.
And I don't fathom this.
His involvement.
But we still talk about the money. Let's look at the money. 60 million or whatever around that for when you take agents' fees and wages for Ndombele, 42 million approximately for Lo Celso, 46 million for Sanchez. I mean, was that the best 46 million? 10 million pound for Jack Clark, for fuck's sake. So
that's the issue, isn't it? There's no doubt that money has been spent. It's been spent on the wrong players. When you look at Liverpool, they needed a goalkeeper, needed a central defender. They got the best of the business. Just a couple of comments here from Ryan. I've been in out since Levy decided to sack Martin Yell at half time. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Someone who did so much for us. He's also said any season ticket I know are ready to give up if Conte isn't backed, and a couple from Scott. It's not just a lack of trophies. Too much focus on lack of trophies. If we're falling, but if we're falling but competitive, that would be much different than being run like crap and not winning. And that's the competitiveness. That after the 16-17, we were competitive. Then should have taken the next step. And then he goes on to say, with Jose, I think that was the thinking with Jose. I can bring him in and win instead of buying what Ian's saying now. And he's very surprised that we don't always disagree.
Well, I'm getting him out shot. So.
Hey, Scott, even a broken clock's right twice a day. Remember that, my friend.
Yeah, we pretty much reached the end there. I mean, we can talk about transfers over and over and over again. And then, in 2 days' time, it could be different. Probably not, but it could be different.
It won't be.
Yeah.
I hope I'm proved wrong. Just want to put that out there. I hope I'm proved wrong.
Come on. I want some optimism from my Irish friends.
But yeah, so
not even Irish optimism can be like around now at this club, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
we'll see.
But
we'll see.
We don't know. We'll see what happens, and then I definitely think the summer is his last chance saloon, because the winter, January, he might not sign that many people. Summer, he really has to go and show. The Kanes, the Suns, Contes, we're competitive here, we're going to compete, which then begs the question, why didn't you do that before?
I mean, one thing, Chris, Conte's body language has been really bad for the last few days.
Yeah.
Really
good against
bad.
Leicester at the end, but hopefully it's just because he's losing games, and certainly 3 against Chelsea without scoring, not laying a glove. But I mean, it remains to be seen what happens in January, and we'll see what happens. But we'll end there. Like I say, we could be carrying on about this and going over the same points. Thanks for my guest. Thanks to Brian. Brian's always on here. Brilliant guest, Brian. But Brad, thanks so much for coming on.
No problems. Don't forget, guys, click like and subscribe.
Excellent.
I wasn't putting it at me. I'm putting it at this.
Well, you've got your music channel, haven't you?
That's probably going to be my next job at the end of February. I'll have a lot more time on my hands, so that'll be probably March. I'm aiming for. I actually ordered a new amplifier today. So
a music channel, Brad. Tell us about this.
It's when I say a music channel, it's basically a place to put songs I've written on to sing and perform and put them out there. So here you go. This is what I do. It's just to have a digital record.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, if people like it, they like it.
You write the music.
I write the music. I write the lyrics.
Brian wrote the lyrics. We want Levy out.
I have actually written a song, and it's about relationships. So you'd think it's like a love song, but it's actually about following a football team. So. Which is a love that you can't get out of. So,
Yeah.
Excellent. And so follow Brad at Brad Hotspur, and you'll get all the updates there and when the channel's going live and all the updates on there. Ian, pleasure having you on. Thanks so much.
Chris, always.
Yeah. No YouTube channel or plugs?
No, just Shaggy1712 on Twitter. I always follow back. I'm happy going on other people's streams. Maybe see what happens when Bob's channel comes back, if he wants some help on that, or maybe because it was Bob that introduced me to this streaming lark and nagged me to come on, and then gave me such a big up and so much encouragement when I did, about nice hearing someone with a different view and a good sense of humor. So I enjoy doing the streams. I'm happy doing other people's stuff. So
he was right with a different view. Only joking.
It's got to be healthy. I mean, Brian and I were almost getting involved in you were probably all party to it in our Tottenham Creatures, whatever it's called, chat.
I missed that.
I was there. Yeah,
it's all good, and I love Brian to bits, and I think it's mutual. But he has promised me to go on Tottenham on tour, Adam. So maybe one day.
I have all the WhatsApp groups. I have. The notifications off because it's
I do that as well.
I have to work during the day, so it's like
exactly.
ding, ding.
Yeah.
So every now and again I go in and see what's been going on. So I do miss
just constant.
A lot in there.
And then the only one on here with a YouTube channel, Brian, with the same one as well. That's Adam. Adam has now been promoted on that channel to chief advertiser, if you will. So it's in the description anyway. The link is in the description as well as everybody's Twitter handles. But where can people find your channel?
Find me at the Mighty IT channel that is Tottenham on Tour. We are doing a big push for 3K, and our support from our subscribers and just our normal viewers and our regular viewers who help with the channel and all. They've just been absolutely fantastic. So big up to all of you. And I know a lot of them watched this channel and all the other Tottenham channels in this great community. So big ups to all of you. So, and also please go over, if you haven't already, once again, go over and hit the subscribe button. Remember, Tottenham fans, we don't like red. I mean, I hate myself for wearing the shirt. I hate myself for wearing the shirt. So,
I could get away with it by saying, "Oh, it's my England top," but you can't. So.
I definitely did. Jeez, you wouldn't see me dead in England top. That's a story for another day, though.
Yeah. You Arsenal in disguise?
No, I am thinking not.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to Tottenham on Tour, get them up to 3,000. Absolutely fully deserved. Thanks everybody for watching. Everybody in the comments as well. I really appreciate it. I'm on 174 followers. Not quite the levels that Tottenham on Tour are, but it'd be great to get to 200 by the end of the international break. So hit those up. Alan Harries isn't fooled.
Alan, don't go there, Alan.
But yeah, so please hit the like, please hit the subscribe, and then go into the description, go to Tottenham on Tour, get them up to their 3,000. And yeah, it all helps. Really appreciate it. And again, thank you for watching. And as always, even though it's a bit difficult to say it now with any kind of enthusiasm, but we'll have a go. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you so much for watching. For everybody who participated in the live chat and added comments, before you go, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anybody who couldn't watch the live video, you can still catch us on YouTube. Add any comments, suggestions or questions to the comments section on the video. Anybody who's listened to the audio-only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anybody who wants the audio-only podcast, you get this wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter, at Talk Tottenham, you'll find all the information there. We'll be back soon. We're live Mondays, 8 p.m, Fridays, 12:30 UK time. Until then, come on, you Spurs!